Becoming a parent is one of life's greatest moments. It doesn't matter if it's the first time or not, the feeling is always surreal. Unfortunately, not all parenting experiences are planned. A baby is a big change and can sometimes be difficult to adapt to. This is what happened to a couple, Joanna and David, who had no time to prepare for parenthood.
Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.
Beck was not an ordinary boy. He had worrying traits which only got worse as he got older. Joanna and David hadn't thought about him in years until one night. The separation had been tough, but all those tears watered it down. They had turned on the news, and all those buried memories were unearthed. It was him. It was Joshua. He had aged, but it certainly was him. Why was he on the news? What had he done? Why are there pictures plastered all over the news? They had always known there was something off about him. They listened intently as the announcer revealed what Beck had done. Joanna gasped. How did that happen? How didn't they know? It could be traced back to that fateful day. To an outsider, the couple looked ordinary. Now in their 70s, they both led a quiet life. But their lives had been defined by an unforgettable experience. It all began when Joanna was 24. She had been married 5 years and had 3 healthy children. David did well for himself and the family. Joanna's sister Becky wasn't so fortunate. Her lifestyle was of great concern to her sister. She had made mistakes and bad decisions that strained her relationship with her family. Alcohol abuse and a series of unstable relationships severed Becky's ties with her family. Joanna was the only one who stayed in touch. Even as their lives took different directions, the two sisters stayed close and had a deep love for each other. This is the reason Joanna was the first and only one to know Becky's secret. Becky had gotten pregnant a couple of months after leaving home, and Joanna, then a mother of 2, was excited. She thought this would keep her sister grounded. Joanna received the news of Becky's pregnancy much better than the rest of the family. Becky's family was shocked and disappointed as she was unmarried and there was no baby daddy. They all turned their backs to Becky except Joanna and David. One of the toughest things for Becky was giving up alcohol during her pregnancy. When she did eventually, she got weaker and weaker. Then it was time for delivery and tragedy struck. Joanna was there for Becky when we went into labor. Unfortunately, Becky died during delivery and Joanna was heartbroken. Of all the risks associated with childbirth, she never thought losing her sister was one of them. Joanna turned her attention to the baby, and by some miracle, he was relatively healthy. With no mother or father, and a family that didn't want him, there was only one thing to do. She didn't even have to discuss it first with her husband. Joanna decided to adopt the baby, and the hospital staff prepared the papers. David was sad to learn about Becky's death and gave his wife his full support. It was the least he could do for Becky. The couple organized Becky's funeral, which was attended mainly by friends. Becky's family, except Joanna and David, made no introductions. The couple tried to move on with their lives and called the boy Beck after his mother. He was treated like their own son. The family wanted Beck to grow in love without any idea he was adopted. Family life gradually returned to normal. Joanna noticed that there was something strange about Beck. He wasn't sociable and seemed to get worse. His siblings, Joanna kids, were very sociable and set a good example for him. As he got older, Joanna noticed he got worse. He loved to stay indoors and alone and often buried his head in books. Joanna tried to ask him about books but met a brick wall. His teachers had the same report. Beck wasn't motivated in school either. Somehow he progressed to the next class. Perhaps this was because he loved to read. He stayed aloof through his childhood and Joanna dreaded his reaction when she finally told him the truth. He was always upset. Despite this, Joanna knew he deserved to know the truth about his mother and family. The couple decided they'll Beck everything, including the actions of his grandparents when he turned 16. The night before he turned 16, David and Joanna told him everything. Joanna's parents had severed ties with her when she adopted Beck. They truly wanted nothing to do with Becky or the baby. Although they quickly regretted severing relations with Joanna, she would have nothing to do with them. Beck was amusingly quiet and calm through all the revelations. When asked how he was taking the news, he said he had known all these years. He suspected they weren't his biological parents and confirmed his suspicion when he found the adoption papers while rummaging through stuff. He wasn't angry that they weren't his parents, but that they kept the truth from him. This discovery made him pull away and not build any lasting relationship with them. Beck had decided he was going to move out as soon as he could. He had saved up on his side job his parents didn't even know he had. His parents would have nothing of it, but he was determined. Joanna and David tried to help their son in any way they could and tried keeping in touch with him. Soon his responses got less and less. His siblings were unable to maintain a relationship with him too. Soon Beck moved out of his apartment and his parents or siblings had no idea where he moved to. It was like he had disappeared off the face of the earth. They received an address from his former landlord, but all letters sent there returned undelivered. They later found out it was an address of a demolished old office building. They feared the worst had happened. They searched for him for months, but Joanna remained hopeful. Years passed and Joanna and David moved on with their lives. They had become grandparents too. One night, while listening to the news, there was a report on a new crime: hacking. It was an unfamiliar concept as the couple didn't use computers much. But a familiar face caught their attention. It wasn't just any photo, it was a jailer's photo of Beck. He was at the fore of this new crime and had developed tools and systems that were impressive. Beck was arrested after a major hacking investigation led police to him. The police were astounded by Beck's innovation, seeing as he dropped out of school. A series of tests explained Beck's unique intelligence. The results showed that Beck had an IQ of 172, 12 points above Einstein. A little more investigation from a shocked Joanna and her husband revealed that Beck had worked on a hacking system in secret since he was 20. His ingenuity had coincided with the evolution of the internet, and he was arguably one of the brightest minds at the time. Safe at last. After the arrest, the police knew what to do with him. Rather than send him to prison, his extraordinary intelligence was going to be used in fighting the new crime. He became one of the most successful advisors in the country. Even as his parents knew they couldn't see, they at least knew he was alive.